Hello and welcome back to the Villa Filler podcast. I'm here as always, my good friend Dan Wiseman. Dan, transfer renewal season is kicking off, picking up steam. We're heading into the World Cup, and this has floated around for a few days now. We just thought we'd let the dust settle. You guys have had so much content in any case, so you can wait for this. And it's a video that we have already shot about
Yeah,
365 days ago. We contemplated just a re-upload. Franck Kessie, mate. What an exciting proposition this is. 12 months down the
blimey,
line to still be linked.
blimey. Yep. Yeah. This is our first video um, post sort of Villa's season ender. It's great to be back with you, mate. Back as a duo. I'm always
Absolutely.
grateful when you guys show some love on the solo episodes because like I'll watch them back and I don't you guys I don't know how you guys sit through it, but we're grateful
No,
anyway.
let's give some love to
Um,
Dan as well for holding down the fort, guys. Shout out to Dan.
It's yeah, it's been good, mate. It's been good. You know it's post Villa because I'm out of Villa kits. We were supporting some LAFC today,
Ooh,
going MLS. It's quite an old
controversial.
one. I'm sorry for the guys on Spotify and Apple Music or whatever that can't see. But yeah, that's the sign. We're out of it. We're heading into the World Cup. I put Villa to one side, or at least thought I had, until about 8 o'clock this morning when I woke up to a couple of messages from you saying, oh, Dan, you won't believe it. You won't believe it. He's back. The rumours are back. Franck Kessie to the Villa. And then here we go again, mate. Back into it. It's an interesting one because his situation obviously has changed in that he's earned a big money move to Barcelona, but it's not gone to plan, has it? And so yeah, apparently the Premier League, us and Fulham, we're led to be believed, are offering him a little get out of jail free card.
Fulham's an interesting one, man, and it's actually quite sad to see how it's gone for Kessié since joining Barcelona because he joined as a free agent. He got the big money move that he was after since leaving Milan. And, he sort of rose to stardom in Italy, had some time at Atalanta, really came into his own at AC Milan and was the guy. And for anybody who isn't aware of his position or what he kind of plays, he's an eight, really. I think he's often quite
Yeah.
misprofiled as a six. Like he's not this big sitting destroyer. He can do that, but that's not where he excels. He's actually. I feel like I may get rinsed for the comparison, but he's almost like and this maybe sounds a bit disrespectful, but he's like a pound shop Yaya Toure. He's very elegant on the ball, fantastic range of passing, absolute wand of a right foot, um, and is just he makes things happen and he creates chaos in the midfield, but he looks so elegant in doing so. So it almost, when we was discussing it before, Dan, obviously the possibility of him joining Barcelona was something that we talked about. It was a move that kind of made sense for what he was after personally in terms of playing for, one of Europe's biggest clubs and clearly getting paid as much as he wanted to get paid as well. Let's not call an apple a pear here. Kessié, if he wanted to, if he wanted to stay and play regular football, he was probably better off staying in Milan. But that's a completely different conversation. But his playing style doesn't really fit the Barcelona philosophy, and it's funny that I sort of referenced Yaya Toure there because he's another one as well who was moved on fairly quickly from his time at Barcelona when they kind of sussed out that he's not really down for this sort of patient, slow build up, passing, dominating possession type game that Barcelona are notorious for playing.
Yep, it has not gone to plan, mate. It has not gone to plan for poor Frank in Catalonia. Um, I mean, to be honest with you, it's one of those where the midfield is so established, and in that you've got Frankie and Busquets, and obviously the tandem of Pedri and Gabi has just come on in like leaps and bounds, and it's so difficult now all of a sudden to get a look in there. And so not only has he had that to contend with, I think this season he's played just 485 minutes of football. That's it. I was actually looking at some of Barcelona's minutes this season, just to go off on a little tangent. Memphis Depay has played 131 minutes of football. That's it. That's it. Was that a game and a half? It's crazy. So it
One
wouldn't
game
be
in the cup.
surprised. It wouldn't, yeah, mate. It wouldn't be surprised if we see some links to this guy, because yeah, there's going to be plenty of newspapers touting his out of Barcelona in the coming weeks as well. But to stick on Frank, yeah, he struggled to get into the team. I think he picks up a slight muscle tear as well against Victoria Pilsen in the Champions League, which has kept him sidelined for a little bit. And then that's all sort of culminated in this position where we see him here, where I believe he's only one of 5 Barcelona players to be staying behind at their Juan Gamper training base. He'll be there along with Marcos Alonso, Iñaki Peña, and a few others, which is I think Hector Bellerin will be in there as well. So I think there's only 5 of the entire Barca squad that will be sticking around. Yeah, got it here. Marcos Alonso, Iñaki Peña, Hector Bellerin, Sergio Roberto, and poor Franck Kessie. What a sad state of affairs. And obviously, there is a reason for that in that the Ivory Coast didn't qualify. So, it's not as much shame as perhaps someone's like Sergio Roberto, whose nation are obviously going. But yeah, a sad time. He's been linked to Fulham, as I said, which by me, I thought about that transfer, and then all it was like, wait, Paulinho and Kessie? Wait, that can't happen at
Outrageous.
Fulham. That's like one of the best midfield pairings in the league. That can't happen. So yeah, I'm all down for this transfer happening, if for no other reason other than we have to stop that midfield duo happening at Craven Cottage, because that is blasphemy. Yeah, can't allow that to be happening.
Fulham are out here playing Football Manager, man. That is some serious move.
Aren't they?
And it's, looking at FB Ref, they've got his weekly salary reported at around the £173,000 mark, which is remarkable, and it would make him the highest earner if that was what he would the contract that he would get at Villa. But it's, we're in this situation, Barcelona, and we kind of spoke about it with the Coutinho announcement when it actually happened, mate. It was sort of, they're in this, obviously everybody knows they're in dire financial straits, but you could genuinely go to Barcelona and go 15 million, take it or leave it. And given the economic stress that they've put themselves in by, falling out of the Champions League and into the Europa League, and just generally not really having a fantastic time. I think they sit 4th in La Liga, maybe. I could be wrong there, but they're certainly not having the season they'd have hoped after some initial teething problems with Xavi. It feels entirely doable. It really does. And this is a guy who I'm sure Emery will be aware of, who's been on the European circuit for a long time. And what's interesting about this, mate, is there have been, rumours and developments about Douglas Luiz's new contract and what Douglas
Mm-hmm.
Luiz's new contract means for this transfer. There's reportedly a Champions League club exit clause fee, whatever you want to call it, which is, not uncommon. And I personally do see Dougie going. I can't lie. I don't think he's going to be somebody who stays around. I think we spoke about it at the time when he signed the deal, mate. Absolute kudos to him for doing so, because I think he did put the club first, realistically, in signing that deal when he could have walked away for free in the summer. But there has been talk of a Douglas Luiz plus cash offer, not offer, sorry, I've completely butchered that. A Franck Kessie plus cash offer for Douglas Luiz from Barcelona's part. Now, I mean, Kessie, as I said, 173k a week. His contract at Barcelona is running until 2026. So, there's roughly 2 years on that, which immediately puts him around sort of 14 million quid, sort of just to get him out of a contract. And this is generally how the sort of transfer fees are looked at as well. And then you've got the value of him on top of that. You'd look at him to be at least a 20 million pound player. Now, I'm not saying he's going to be a sort of 34, 35 million pound deal that Villa are going to have to strike here, because, as I say, I think there will be an opportunity to get him not on a boss man, but even if there's Dougie involved, if you can swap Franck Kessie for Douglas Luiz and £25 million, I think that's arguably like the best bit of business that Villa could ever have done.
Yeah, it would certainly sweeten the blow, mate, wouldn't it?
It would.
The thing is Kessie is only 25.
It's crazy, isn't it? It feels
That's
like he's been
yeah.
around for time.
It does, and because of how established he is in the game and the clubs that he's played for, and I think it feels like, when you move to a club like Barcelona, you usually do so at the peak of your powers. But this guy is, we normally see centre midfielders hit their prime, early 30s,
Yeah.
really, and so this guy's still got a lot of minutes in the tank. On the Dougie rumors, I really don't know how to feel about that just yet. Apparently, AC Milan, oddly enough, are also sniffing around. But yeah, I mean, to get money and Kessié for Douglas Luiz would certainly sweeten that. It's an interesting one, mate. And I think that how, I mean, we've seen these before, haven't we? We've seen these before in these Kessié rumors, and we know to perhaps take them with a little pinch of salt. But if only there were an example recently of Villa going to Barcelona and getting a player that they paid big money for a cut price fee, say around 20 million euros. If only we had history for doing that. Oh wait. So joking apart, it's like one of those where I always say now on this podcast is that I never rule these deals out because I scoffed at the Coutinho deal. For what it's worth, I do think Kessié will want to give it more than just 6 months at Barcelona.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah, I think he'll want to try and, I don't think he'll have given up just yet. Obviously, he is injured. He's looking to make a return in Barcelona's first game back after the World Cup, which I believe is against Espanyol on New Year's Eve. That's the game he's targeting to make a return. And when I say a return, I mean, obviously, a return in relative to his season. That just might be being match fit, not even selected. But yeah, I think you'd be crazy to call it quits at Barcelona, especially after just 6 months when it looks like there might be a changing of the guard pretty soon in that midfield. So yeah, let's wait and see what happens, but maybe not just yet is what I'd say on this one.
Yeah, I think this is one that we can perhaps sit on. But again, just to give you guys a bit of an insight on how this guy plays, a few numbers I'm just going to reel off. He averages about 2.72 touches in the opposition penalty box per 90, which actually puts him within the top 7 percentile of midfielders in doing so. Receives on average about 2.65 progressive passes per 90 as well. And, he's well up there within the top 10 percentile of midfielders for non-penalty goals. So, he's somebody who clearly likes to get involved on the front foot, constantly looking to find space and I think the big thing for me here is, and to obviously you guys haven't heard my thoughts on Brighton because I wasn't about, but something that really I found encouraging from this game was look at the positions John McGinn found himself in. Really high up the pitch, and Dougie Luiz as well, vital in assisting that goal. You can kind of put that maybe down to vanity and a personal agenda in wanting to get one over Alexis McAllister, but he wins the ball back high up the field. He's aggressive, and again with the example of John McGinn, midfield runners getting forward into the box. It's something that we're finally seeing under Unai Emery. It's something that we haven't seen for a long time. So Franck Kessie is certainly a player who fits the profile in terms of how we're going to look to recruit midfielders and what we're going to expect of them. Looking at the numbers, they're really encouraging. So all I can say on this, mate, is as you said, I can't see it being something that happens immediately in January. Could you imagine within the sort of period of 8 months, he's gone from living in Milan to living in Barcelona to then having to move to Birmingham, and we'll have no Sutton Coldfield slander because that's where they all live. But come on, there's levels to the game. There's levels to the game. So
Yeah, that's tough.
maybe it's one to keep an eye out. But I know many a player, including Amar El Ghazi, can vouch for Perry Fino. So hopefully that can help it kick it over the line, mate.
Let's hope, mate. Let's hope. Yeah, let's sit on it, mate, and we'll see.
Absolutely. But guys, there's been so many transfer rumours. There's gonna be so many transfer rumours coming up over the next month or so. It's going to be really interesting. We've got games. We've got the Cardiff game, the Peter Whittingham Memorial. There's a friendly with Villarreal.
We got a message about that actually.
Did
We
we?
got a comment asking about the Peter Whittingham game, asking if we'll be covering it, and I was like, yeah, I think
Yeah,
that sounds we'll be all over that. So yeah, looking forward to
absolutely.
that one.
Yeah. So you guys will know where to be for that. Um, so there's going to be plenty of content coming, and Dan and I have sort of finally decided kind of what we're going to do with the World Cup. So there's going to be some World Cup preview content coming your way. We're mainly going to follow England, and then of course there's going to be the Villa boys. Um, so it's going to be exciting. Keep your eyes and ears peeled for that, and yeah, if you guys aren't aware, we're on Instagram and we're on TikTok. We're at Villa Filler Pod on Instagram, and our past like 4 reels down have just blown up like ridiculously, like in relation to the previous ones. So thanks, shout out to everybody who's shown some love on the Instagram. You guys can follow that; it'll be in the description. And on TikTok, it's at Heart of the Holte. So there'll be clips from this podcast, clips from other podcasts making it over there. And we're working really hard to get some special content out over this break. So we'd appreciate it if you guys would subscribe to the channel as well. We're so close to 6K. Let's make it happen. Like, comment, subscribe. Another Villa.